Muy buenas tardes to everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. Bueno, mi gente, first and foremost, do allow me to start off by thanking everybody again for you guys' words, wishes, prayers, and for your great support. Do know from the corazón, muchísimas gracias. Also, allow me to apologize for taking a little bit to put this video out there. Mi gente, I try, my hardest. My condition sometimes just gets complicated, and I do work from 8 till I feel comfortable of what I done throughout the day. But with my left side being semi-paralyzed and my heart, my liver is, I start sounding like, my left side starts shaking real bad, and I start sounding even more dragful than I do, and I just don't want to make a fool of myself. And but zero excuses. I'm here, and I'm gonna try to push content every day. At least stop in to say Q. But anyways, to get into the story at hand, today I'm gonna talk about a power struggle that happened. It was a big power struggle, But I want to start off taking you back to, I believe it was 2002 in the mids, and remember I was on B yard, and it's the first time that actually I had already heard about the Peelies from Norwalk, uh, but there was a big issue that uprose. As you guys are aware, in the 180B yard, one block is where they had, I don't know if they still do, but at this time they had the young offenders. They were being sentenced as adults, and they were being held there till they turned 18, and then were gonna get classified and kicked out. But at this time, there was a big incident inside. There was a homie from Bolin and a homie from Azusa. They hit another young homie in there, and at first everybody was, up in the air about it. They ain't really knew what was going on. So, right off the gate, the young homie that got hit, he decided to go ahead and check in. And while he was checking in, he started just, speaking to the goon squad, and it basically came out that quote unquote, there was a big homie that was going out there as a tier tender or passing out lunch. I don't know in what aspect, but he regardless he had the green light to go in there, and I guess he was the one that directed them to follow certain rules and regulations in there, and that's why he hadn't moved on. So when this happened, at the same time, as you guys, well, the ones that been here know, I was going through that little, headaches happening in the 180, which I will touch on. I had just barely gotten kicked out the shoe, from 7 block, and so right off the back they rolled up the two homies, they took them to A block, and everything went up on the yard with me, and we ended up going to lockdown. And shortly after, Goon Squad hit my cell in the middle of the night, and I got told on. Basically got rolled out to A block at first. Once we were in A block, this camarada per se, Diablo from Norwalk came in. Now, as we were there, we knew that he had clecha. He quote unquote been in places. He was in touch with Billy's, and so when everything started unfolding, that he was the one going back there and pretending to be someone that he wasn't. We had to basically do things correctly because we were aware of his support. So, anyways, I wrote T to 7 block, and at first it came back that if it was true that he was basically fooling the homies. They used to go to canteen and break them off, and just basically taking advantage. And this is also to touch on that question they asked me if I ever met camaradas that were dirty, as these other vatos. And this is one of those cases. So, anyways, T told us to go ahead and, if it was true, to go ahead and whack this fool. But when for some reason it kept getting squashed. Paperwork came and everything was a go, but it kept getting squashed. So the one mainly pressing the issue was a homie from bowling that was back there. He wanted to know why his younger homie was getting fooled, basically. And but at the end, T got at us, and he basically told us, that it's being requested or is being asked that to go ahead and dismiss it. That it was coming from one of the pilis from the one of the morenos. I couldn't tell you exactly which pili because when it comes to their business and in our business, our job is just to follow what is being told. So, anyways, as far as I know, homeboy, he skated, and it's exactly what I talk in other videos. Is favoritism amongst them and theirs, because different situations, a homie would have gotten whacked on the spot, but since he rubbed elbows, with them since kids, he was being favored. So, anyways, I eventually, they came and hit me with the shoe term, and I went back to 7 block to the validated block, and he just told me like just to look past it. It's just things that happen. Just don't overthink it, cause it's gonna make me you know shaky per se. So I let go of it, and I remember when we went out to yard. The good camarada, he's a good homie, Chino from Azusa. Started asking me, and I told him, and needless to say, he got upset, and he was in the right. It was his little homie, and he basically got fooled to catch some more time over lies, and he basically got more upset when it came down to the senores actually putting their arm around this cat that was fooling homies that were starting in the game, because the game is supposed to be to make a homie, not break one. And me and Chino, well, actually, he backed me up, and I will touch on that, when Boxer Soldados, they ended up moving on me, based on Ironwood. But that's a different story, which I will touch on. So, within time, as you guys know, I got sent to Corcoran Shoe. I was on A yard for a little bit. Then I hit B yard. Once I hit B yard, then you started hearing about this power struggle, right, on the streets, and mainly because Jocko, he was back there, so he was upset. He was upset with what was going on. That he felt that certain pilis were stepping out of bounds, right? But it wasn't like blown out yet. It was just like aquí allá, and little by little. Now at this time, we were aware, that Yako he was doing a lot of dirty stuff. Like him and Artie, they were working hand in hand. For example, their soldados shotgun was Jaco's, and Artie's was Indio, and from 18th Street. So as time went by, then I remember we heard that the Pili Cisco from Puente, he was out there trying to take over what in rights should belong to him, which was his city, his neighborhood, right? But power hungry Yaku, he didn't want to let go of it. And then what was really a surprise to me was that they mentioned Perico, the Perico from Norwalk. He was out there and he was being backed up by Boo. And at this time, Boo was right there in Corcoran, right? I remember I caught my case, the last case on Marcelli, and I ended up hitting Pelican Bay. And shortly after, Yaku ended up hitting up there, and it was already in full effect on the streets. And a lot of people they talk about how Jocko came out on top of everything, but he didn't. You know, basically he had a woman, Green Light Carnales, which wasn't favored by a lot of Pilis, but he was all high and mighty, in his head. So he pushed and pushed for it to where it came to a point where I believe they moved on Perico. Now a lot of carnales in Pelican Bay were whispering about Perico, and for a long time he was looked at like Monedero, right? He got cleared in the feds, but there was paperwork on him. But again, money over trumps, you could say, cleanliness or whatever. He wasn't a solid dude because there was already smug on him. But now he's out on the street washing up camaradas, trying to take over something that in reality he's out of bounds on. But it's just about how far they can flex, right? So he's there with Cisco, and I heard he got hit, jammed up. I just got heard that Yako's crew will eventually touched Perico, right? And as you guys know, within time, those two Pilis they got busted, and Perico did what he knew what to do. Locked it up, basically washed up Cisco, Yako's lady, whatever, and all the camaradas that he used and abused while he was playing a part that he wasn't meant for. And to be sincere, it's sometimes I come on here and I say Tecato this or that they're weak, and don't take what I say, like to heart. It's just anybody with a sense of mind can see it. For example, if you really sit down and analyze how many camaradas went down for these three pilis on the streets, how many of them caught a gang of time, and not only that, shortly after everything hit the fan, Jaco started being questioned, like, hey, we're not to be utilizing women no more. Aquí que onda? So instead of manning up to his stuff like a Chica warrior should, right? What does he do? He checks in. Now he leaves this hyena on her own. Not only did he fool Shotgun a few times saying he was sponsoring him, but now, hey Shotgun, you didn't just get lied about it. You're done now. You weren't on the streets, but you fall with me. And all those camaradas, per se, Cisco was the one that came out on top, Well, he was the only one that stayed solid throughout all this. But it just amazes me how, and I want to talk about myself, because people get on here and say that I have a crusade against these individuals, which I don't, When I'm speaking about myself. I was a blind idiot. I went through so much, I took so much, and in my head it was justified because I gotta stay solid. And being solid in my causa was follow the proper ladder, right? Which was, please these individuals. But I asked this question once in another video. It's, you know, things happen the way they happen with me. And I had time to sit down and reflect, and I still don't have a correct answer. Why? Why for so many years? Why through so much? Why after I seen it? But, the biggest enemy is our own self. Because I remember whenever I used to see things or go through something, it was always my head, making up excuses on why to keep pushing. Someone got on the comments and said, why when I had him in front of me, I didn't act on it. And you know what? You're right. But again, my mind played games on me. When I thought about it, I thought about a lot of things. For example, I could satisfy myself, but where would that put my neighborhood? Where would that put my family? Because they're going after families now. You know, uh, and even when I decided I wasn't okay with it, I still forced myself to push. But I want to get into it. I want to start on my story, but I'm going to start from back to front. I want you guys to understand what made me step back. And right now it's a big old thing, that supposedly supposedly, excuse me, politicking against each other should not be allowed. And I remember I was in Pelican Bay with Listo, and he was Cisco Solado, and I remember he got out there, and his first mission was to knock down Bouncer from Belinda Flats and Silent from Walnut. Now these two camaradas, they were in the shoe with me, but for some reason they decided to join forces, to support. In this case, it was Cisco and Perico, just on Perico's side, right? And they had a lot of clecha. I don't know what really went through their head to the point, but I could imagine, when I was there, it was about, earning the proper respect in my head, you know, to have the honor of being given the pleasure of looking out for my neighborhood without having a stranger do it, right? So I can think of that, but here's Cisco and Alaya Perico, but now send his foot soldier, Listo, to get out of Pelican Bay and grab the ropes again in a Puente or SGV and look for these individuals that backed this play at one point. So again, as a camarada, you're doomed if you do, and you're doomed if you don't. Because at the end of the day, like they say, there's only a handful of Emmy members, but there's thousands and thousands of Sureños. And that's exactly what goes through their head. There's thousands that can replace a soldado. There's no value in a Sureño. All the myth that they feed us as coming up in the game, that yeah, earn your respects, they're gonna value who you are. If you didn't grow up with them, if you're not one of them, just know it's just time. Time's gonna catch up with you. There's a saying that says, everybody has a story on how they start. One way or another, in my case, it was a celly I had. Or another case could be you grew up with an individual. Another one you were in county in the hole with one. But, one thing that's for sure is as Sureños, we all have the same outcome. Different beginnings, same outcome. Think about that one. But, I just thought I would touch up on this war. I had a lot of more insight on this, but I just thought I would share with you guys. How yes, there is camaradas that use and abuse that. And to some sense they're bringing feria to the table when it comes to these individuals or dope, and they're looked out for, and they abuse their little, you could say, power. Because it's only in their head. But and how time and time again, you see these guys violate their own rules and regulations, and it's permitted. You know, well, different topic. I will touch on it soon. But I do want to touch up on well, I will touch on it. I just thought it was funny. Cisco is doing his thing. Perico, just cause he had the feria, they looked away from him being already an informant, right? Jaco, yeah, he violated what was put out there because those that know Jaco knows he thought he was God. And then when it came time for him to man up, he did what they always do, take the coward's way out. Because after the 60s, 70s, I haven't heard of an M member manning up to his consequence. It's always throwing a soldado to take the fault. And you as a soldado, you can't question that. So, for those that get out and try to drag on you on how you gotta earn your respect inside, be smart. Listen to what's out there. Tell them, miss me with all that. You know what I mean? Stay loyal to your neighborhood, but at all times stay true to yourself in the sense, make something happen, make a family, value those that from first-hand experience, man, they're the only ones that are going to stick by you. They're the only ones that are going to accept you for your goods and bads. These individuals it's a snake world. They're always looking at what the next man is doing to step on them. Once I heard a Pili say, he was politicking with another Pili, and he said, "Hey, but this," I heard another Pili say, "But this fool's a big old snake. You gotta be trucha." And he laughed and said, "Yeah, but do know that it takes to be a snake to take down another snake." And this was among carnales, right? So just be smart when it comes to these individuals. They're always looking out to feed their vein, their pocket. Sureños, homies, outsiders, however you want to phrase it, you're indispensable. Remember, there's thousands and thousands of camaradas. But with this said, please stay true to yourself and loyal to your loved ones. Que estén bien, saludos a todos.